Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Brockopp side. Halloween was directed by David Gordon Green and is a direct sequel to the original John Carpenter Halloween from 40 years ago, and Jamie Lee Curtis returns as Laurie Strode because this movie does the intelligent thing of ignoring every single sequel, and the Rob Zombie remake goes right back to basics and is about Laurie Strode and Michael Myers coming back together for one final showdown several decades after the original. So it's basically like Halloween H2O, but now it's kind of like Halloween H4O, but H2O is irrelevant now because it's not canon anymore. So, yeah. Anywho, Laurie Strode has been slowly preparing for Michael Myers' inevitable return for the last 40 years. She's heavily armed, she's got a safe house full of traps and a secret bunker, and of course Michael Myers escapes custody, he puts on his old mask, and goes back to his old knife-wielding, stabby-stabby ways. I am a huge fan of the Halloween franchise. When I was in middle school, I was starting to get a taste for horror films, and Halloween was the first series I got into, which is pretty appropriate considering it's the one that pioneered the slasher genre as we know it today. Now, of course, there were other movies before that, like Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, but Halloween is the one that truly established the tropes and all the things you expect from a slasher movie. So I was very excited at the prospect of a new Halloween sequel that went way back to basics, and also the fact it was being made by Blumhouse, which knows how to make low-budget horror films that are of pretty high quality for the most part, and are highly successful, so this just seemed like the perfect combination of things. So now that I've hyped up all of this stuff, you probably think I'm about to sit here and tell you how I was disappointed by this movie, but no, I actually really enjoyed this new Halloween movie. It's got basically everything I wanted from a Halloween sequel of this variety. Jamie Lee Curtis is great once again as Laurie Strode. I think this is definitely my favorite incarnation of this character because she's had a very strange mythology. I mean, first she was in the first two Halloween movies, and then in Halloween 4 she was not there, she was supposedly killed off and it was the focus of her young daughter, and then that all got retconned, and then H2O, she was very much alive, she tried to move on with her life, she had a teenage son, and then she got killed in Halloween Resurrection, but then they wiped all that shit out, and now she's been heavily scarred from those events 40 years ago. She's been slowly preparing, learning how to fire a gun and owning lots of guns, and now she has a daughter, which is not the same daughter from Halloween 4 through 6, and she has a granddaughter now, and she's very damaged. She's a damaged character. She suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, and she's agoraphobic. She's afraid to go out in public. She's a damaged character, but she is a very strong character too. She is very much afraid to go up against Michael Myers again, but she's still going to do it because it's what she feels she needs to do. She's tired of being afraid of Michael Myers, and she wants to finish him off once and for all. She is a great character, and I love what they did with her in this movie. And since this does ignore every sequel, Michael Myers and Laurie Strode are no longer related, which is something I never really took issue with, but that piece of info being absent here really was not a big deal. Of course, it was great to see Michael Myers once again. The mask looks fantastic this time around. One of the weird things with previous Halloween movies is that they just could not quite get the mask right, but here it looks perfect. It's basically just an older, withered version of the original white William Shatner mask, so Michael Myers looks great, his killing is awesome, and it slowly progresses from just simple snapping of the neck to some really gruesome shit by the end of it, so the kills are very entertaining, and it was also just really fun to see Michael Myers killing people. That's kind of fucked up when you think about it. The only character in the movie I really didn't care for was the doctor character, who is basically the new Loomis, and Jamie Lee Curtis even mentions that in the movie. Michael Myers has been under his care for several decades, and he wants to study him, and he does some really questionable shit in this movie. I mean, granted, Loomis did some pretty questionable shit in later sequels, but, you know, he's just, He's no Loomis, let me just put it that way, and I am very happy when certain things happen to him, which I'm not going to try to get into too much detail here in case you want to see it for yourself, but yeah, not the greatest character in the world, not the greatest character at all. There are a lot of visual callbacks to the original Halloween, which I'm not going to get into too much detail here, because I don't want to ruin it for you if you want to see it for yourself, but they were very satisfying to see. I'm just going to say this, that some of them, the tables have kind of turned on some of them. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, but they were very satisfying to say the least. And with all the callbacks to the original Halloween, there's also one little reference to Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, where these 3 kids are wearing the 3 masks from the Shamrock Corporation. That was a nice little nod, and I think I appreciated that more than most did. The movie does have a little bit of humor in there, which I was a little concerned when I heard it was kind of a funny movie, but it's not excessively funny. It's not like a slapstick comedy or anything. You know, you got this one kid who just says a lot of funny lines, and you got these cops, you know, just making playful banter and all of that. So I think the humor, you know, some probably will take issue with that, but for me, it was a fine amount. So I don't mind a little bit of humor in there as long as it's still intense and scary and bloody and gory when it needs to be. So I didn't mind the comedy. You might feel differently, but it didn't bother me. One way I can always tell when I'm really enjoying a movie is that I really just did not want it to end. I mean, after a while I was like, wow, I don't want this movie to end after an hour and 40 minutes. I just want to see Michael going around the neighborhood killing people. But I was kind of disappointed when the movie did end, you know, which is something that kind of needs to happen, but I was just really enjoying myself, and the final showdown between Jamie Lee Curtis and Michael Myers in her little safe house there, it was really nice, had some good suspense in there, and it was very quiet when it needed to be, but as far as how it ended, I was a little disappointed in that, just because it's something that we have seen before in other Halloween movies, so it doesn't really do much particularly different, but what I do appreciate is the fact that they didn't keep the movie open-ended. You know, they weren't like, okay, we're totally gonna do a sequel, so we need to make it look like Michael Myers is still alive. No, I mean, they could totally just not make another sequel, it'd be fine. We could just probably accept Michael Myers is dead. But, you know, let's face it, he's not fucking dead. But I just appreciate they didn't try to end on a big cliffhanger. They ended it with all the characters scarred, but everything is over. You get somewhat of a happy ending there. But if they don't make another Halloween movie after this, I would say that I am very happy with the one they're leaving us. So all in all, Halloween does everything a Halloween sequel like this really needs to do. Jamie Lee Curtis is great once again, and if you're a fan of the original Halloween, you will probably enjoy this movie too. This movie's really more for fans of the original Halloween, and hopefully this will bring some other people into the fan base of Halloween, maybe get people to watch the original if they haven't seen it, and it's just an overall really good movie. That's it. It's a really good movie. I loved it. I look forward to watching it again when it comes out to Blu-ray, or maybe I'll go see it again. I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I really like this movie. The end. So, those are my thoughts on Halloween. If you guys have seen the movie, or if you feel like your brother, or not brother anymore, is gonna come after you tonight, let me know down below, and we'll see you on the Brockopp side.